A need for answers. Yeah. In fact, Hotez, author of Preventing the Next Pandemic, Vaccine Diplomacy in a Time of Anti-Science, says that the only way that we'll have any answers to our questions about the origins of COVID-19 is through pretty extensive on-the-ground investigation. Along the same lines, Adalja, who has supported doing a thorough and independent review of the lab leak hypothesis since the pandemic began, says that it would have a significant value from a public health standpoint. We still don't understand how SARS-CoV-2 made its way from bats into some immediate animal or into humans, and I think unraveling that is really important, he explains. Once people realized the first SARS came from palm civet, from the palm civet cats, it basically disappeared because they started handling those animals very differently. So from that sense, I think that there is more of a public health importance to understanding the origin of the virus and understanding the viral emerge. Yes, absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. That's absolute. But despite the potential widespread benefits of the findings of this type of investigation, including looking into whether or not the outbreak involved an accidental lab leak, many of the scientists who saw the merit of this approach fell silent. That's because anything to do with the lab leak theory was inexorably linked with Trump. And that's the problem with politicizing a public health crisis, people. And when you do that, you create a landscape of hate. We are still dealing with a great deal of Asian hate, of Asian hate crimes against Asians here in America, and I cannot stand it. I think it's horrible. It is horrendous, and I can't stand it. And it's all because of what our previous president instilled in the people at the time. It's a disgusting thing. It really is. And I'm seeing that even when it comes to trying to, get down to the actual bottom of what's going on and what's the origin of the pandemic in the first place, we can't even begin to have the conversation, because the second we try to, it becomes political right away because of what that man had instilled. It's disgusting. We're being held back scientifically from being able to help the community, help the people of our planet, in this time of horrible situations, because it's been made into a political standpoint, and that doesn't make any sense. We're supposed to be in this together, seriously. I can't stand it out there when anybody is going through any kind of racial injustice, but to see people spitting at Asian people over here and hitting Asian people over here on the bus and stuff like that, that's disgusting. Why? What is it doing? What is it for? We have no actual proof that COVID-19 was engineered in China or anything like that. But Trump made it so. Trump made it so, and it's disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting, because it's keeping us from actually getting down to the bottom of things and actually making real progress in finding what the origin of this disease was. I really do believe that it's something that jumped naturally, because this is something that happens in nature all the time. It was only a matter of time. I mean, we've been how long without a pandemic? Now we have one. It makes sense, oh my God, there's just so many reasons that I get aggravated when it comes to people's reaction to the news that is put out for them to feed on, especially over here. The media is so poisonous, and I just hope that people could see past the manipulation of the media and actually love each other, because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be here to spread love with one another, to love each other, and to engage with one another and grow. And we can't do that if every single thing that we do in our life becomes a political standpoint, because political standpoints literally only focus on that which makes us different in order to, create a situation where we're their constituency, if that makes sense. They want to pigeonhole us so that they could have their voting regimen, kind of on lock, this is just not how it should work. It's just disgusting. And it's made it so that we live in a world that's just like hard to be human in. but his followers and their campaign of misinformation and conspiracy theories and an association with no credible scientists want it. It's just, of course, they don't want to associate with any credible scientist, because any credible scientist is going to actually look for the truth. But Trump and Trump supporters don't want the truth. They want to be able to point a finger and say it's them. They did it, and that's not sensible in a situation where everyone around the world is dealing with this. Everybody. It's not just, you know what I mean? I didn't mean for this to become as serious as it has, but let's keep going. Why now? So why has the lab leak hypothesis resurfaced now and received so much attention? It began March 30th, 2021, when the release of the long-awaited report from the World Health Organization, or WHO, into the origins of the pandemic. In it, the investigators, a team of 17 experts from China and an additional 17 from other countries, asserted that they found no conclusive evidence of either a natural spillover or a lab leak. However, based on their assessment, the team indicated that it was very likely that the first humans were infected with SARS-CoV-2 via animal transmission involving an intermediate host transmitted from bats or to another animal to humans. Pangolins to bats, bats to humans. That's what they're saying actually happened, or that's a theory. And that a lab accident was extremely unlikely, still given the lack of the direct evidence. The team noted that further studies are needed before solid conclusions can be drawn. But that makes sense. You have to investigate a case in order to get to the truth of the case. That's just the way it goes. We don't know the answers, so we have to keep on searching. On the day that the report was published, WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, I hope I said that right, who was not directly involved in the investigation, echoed the team's sentiments about more work needing to be done, and also expressed frustration over China's lack of cooperation and transparency during the process, including sharing crucial raw data. He also remarked that he didn't think that the team's assessment of the potential lab accident was extensive enough, and offered to support further research. Then on May 14th, a group of 18 well-respected scientists from North America and Europe published a letter in the journal Science, agreeing with Tedros that the accidental lab leak hypothesis wasn't given balanced consideration in the WHO report, and that further investigation into the origins of the virus is necessary and feasible to achieve. 2 weeks later, Biden made the request for a renewed investigation, and almost immediately a spokesperson from the Chinese embassy in the US issued a statement referring to Biden's request as the old trick of the political hype and a smear campaign. From here, the conversation escalated quickly. That is a little troubling, that China is like so quick to be like, what? No. But I get it. I understand it, you know? Like, they've been literally being pointed at as, you created this thing since this thing started. And once again, no matter what you do, it's gonna be politically charged because of the landscape that Trump created before he freaking left presidency. This is just the way it is. This is it. Now we can't even really look at something without it becoming a whole political meltdown of a situation. And this is it, you know? Re-examining the lab leak theory. Shortly before leaving office in January 2021, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo released a fact sheet containing possible evidence of an accidental lab leak, including that the US government has reason to believe that several researchers in the WIV became sick in that's the Wuhan Institute of Virology, became sick in autumn 2019 before the first identified case of outbreak, with symptoms consistent with both COVID-19 and common seasonal illness. That's a little troubling. Oof. Yeah, that is a little troubling. Then on Sunday, May 23rd, the Wall Street Journal reported that, according to the previously undisclosed intelligence information, 3 researchers from the Wuhan lab who felt ill with COVID-19-like symptoms in November 2019, referenced in Pompeo's fact sheet, were treated in a hospital. While the article reignited interest in the lab leak theory, CNN poured on the gasoline 2 days later when it reported that, late into the Trump administration, Biden had shut down Pompeo's probe into the origins of COVID-19 because he did not see the findings as legitimate. It's hard to when it's been made over politicized. This is what happens. You over politicize a matter of public health, and any legitimate search into the origin becomes tainted. This is what happens. That's cause and effect. Given the renewed interest in thoroughly investigating the lab leak theory, Republicans swiftly criticized the Biden administration for putting a stop to what could have been a useful inquiry. But how could you expect them not to when he was So given the renewed interest in the thoroughly investigated lab leak theory, Republicans swiftly criticized Biden administration for putting a stop to what could have been a useful inquiry. But the only reason Biden had to stop that was because the whole thing was based on a political outrage that was started by our previous president, who I just can't stand. Once you make a matter of public health something that is political, you take all of the actual power out of any real inquiry or any real research that could be done to find out what's going on with it. Because the second that you find out anything that could be a lead, you may end up in a situation that, you know, immediately becomes, no, it's not, you're just being racist, all this stuff, you know what I mean? And look at the freaking landscape of hate that it created already when he was calling it the China flu. Okay? So of course Biden had to freaking shut down that whole investigation. He had to shut it down because it was rooted in political outrage. And political outrage that literally made us look bad. Now wanting to reopen the whole thing, I feel like we're trying to do it on a more actual, you know, real political basis that's positive, but there's no way to positively spin it after it's been destroyed politically in a different direction thanks to the previous administration that we were run by in this country, unfortunately. And right on cue, Trump claimed it as a victory. Oh my god. Of course he would. The man is freaking so vain. Now everybody is agreeing that I was right when I very early on called Wuhan as a source of COVID-19, sometimes referred to as the China virus. He wrote on his blog on May 25th. To me, it was obvious from the beginning, but I was badly criticized as usual. Now they are saying he was right. No, this is the thing. No one is saying that Trump was right. They're saying that we have to investigate it to find out the actual truth. No one is saying that Trump is right, except for Trump supporters who think everything the dude says is right. But this is what I mean about, look, he's still choosing to politicize a freaking public health crisis. This man was the president of our United States. That's ugly. Ugly. Like, ugly. The following day, Biden issued a statement about his plans for a more comprehensive intelligence investigation, and the reaction was immediate. For the first 24 hours following Biden's announcement, the public wasn't aware that the White House had received what the New York Times described as a raft of still unexamined evidence that could potentially contain clues about the origins of the SARS-CoV-2. Prior to learning that it was new evidence that sparked Biden's investigation, many saw the move as the president granting legitimacy to everything from conspiracy theories involving bioweapons to the anti-Asian racism Trump slung along his accusations that China was allowing SARS-CoV-2 to spread after a lab leak. But in reality, Dr. Matthew M. Kavanaugh, director of the Global Health Policy and Politics Initiative in Georgetown University, says that Biden's call to redouble the investigation aligns with WHO's report from March, as well as a request from Tedros for additional research into the accidental lab leak theory, meaning that it's still a lab leak theory. Nobody knows what's going on yet, but Trump is immediately calling it victory. I won. Just like he won the freaking election, but Biden's president. You know what I mean? Whatever. Meanwhile, Adlaja and Hotez both welcome more extensive review, though aren't necessarily convinced that focus on intelligence will produce the most useful results. We don't need an intelligent report, we need an outbreak investigation, and that's a very different skill set and very different approach. Hotez explains nothing that it would take between 6 and 12 months to complete. There is going to be a COVID-26 and a COVID-32. It's inevitable. It's inevitable that 2026 and then 2032 that it's coming back. And if we're going to learn how to start controlling these things, we really need to do a deep dive and understand how this happened. I'm wondering if those numbers are arbitrary, that he just threw those out, COVID-26, COVID-32, or if it's like something that, because now it sounds almost planned. I don't know, guys. Kavanaugh argues, noting that the aim of Biden's report was finding a scientific explanation of the origins of COVID-19. He would have tasks the CDC or NIH with it instead of the U.S. intelligence agencies. This tells us that this is a political and an intelligence story, not a story mostly about science, he says. And so we should understand the picture in this sense and not be naive about it. We're in a place where politics is driving people's scientific understanding in a dangerous way. Exactly. Science and politics do go hand in hand, but have to be looked at separately in matters of public health. The fact that we have allowed things to become this bad, I don't know, and it's frustrating. It really is. But I'm gonna have to leave you guys on that. I love you guys. I'll give you the heart. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, the whole nine, everything. I'll see you guys on the next episode of Techlo versus the Interweb. Peace. Techlo out. Behave yourselves.